everyone. Welcome back. My name is Stassi. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited. I have She and Sim podcast here. I have Jesse and Caity here today. So thank you so much for coming today, ladies.
Thanks for inviting us. We're
Yeah.
No, oh my gosh, thank you so much
looking
for
forward to it.
coming. Why don't we just start off like why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves and like how you guys met?
Sure. Um, Katie, do you want to take it?
Sure. So my name is Caity. I'm a longtime simmer, and that's how I met Jesse. We became mutuals on Instagram, probably mid to fall-ish 2021. I had started my Instagram account in I think July or August of
Mhm.
or I'm sorry, not 2021. What year are we in?
2020.
2020.
2020. Yeah, and it was actually most specifically how we met was Katie was running a like
Yep.
US Simmers collab,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked if I could join.
Yep. Yeah, that's
That
how it was. I think that was like late 2020. Sorry, my
yeah.
I'm apparently like
No,
brain
we all
is
have the all have the sea brain
Oh yeah.
yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Oh my God, absolutely. Like the other day, like someone had to convince me it was 2022 because I was stuck that it was 2021.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like,
It happens to me all the time.
I know, right?
oh my
Right.
God. Like I literally you're like, oh my God. Because or something like so say like say you went to like a live event and your brain's like, oh yeah, like I did that a couple months ago, but in actual real life, it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
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 crazy,
crazy how it goes.
right?
Yeah. And then we actually were lucky enough to meet in person in it would have been April 2021.
Okay.
Katie and her husband were on a road trip. They decided to visit a bunch of southern states, and she messaged me and was like, "Hey, I think we're going to be in Charlotte, and I live just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina."
Okay.
And I was like, "Well, do you want to meet up?" And she was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we actually ended up meeting for the first time. I met her and her husband. My husband came along too, and we all had dinner together, and it was awesome. It was like, and we've basically pretty much kept in close contact. I mean, we were already kind of in close contact before then, but I would say after we met, like it's been a very close contact. She's probably one of the closest friends that I have in the Sims community. So, I mean, she is the closest friend I have in the Sims community.
Oh, well, that's so cute. Hey, that's the best meet cute I've ever heard in my life. I love that. It's like I agree with you. I have like a lot of close friends in The Sims. What's cool though is some of them are actually from my hometown, and you just don't realize it. Like that's the
Mhm.
beauty of like Simstagram. You could be talking to anybody, anywhere
Yeah.
in the world. They could be across the pond, or they could be 10 minutes away from you. Like it's literally crazy. But that's so cute.
Mhm.
Um, so Jesse, your Sims history, did you have you always been a simmer, or is it something that you kind of picked up?
Yeah. So my first encounter with The Sims would have been pre-Sims. It would have been with SimCity. I think that was my first Maxis game.
Okay.
And then in 2001, I got my first PC, and well, that was mine.
Hmm.
And so with that, I bought The Sims. It was like one of the very first video games I ever bought. Um, and yeah, I've been a simmer ever since then. I I played consistently with Sims 1 and Sims 2. Kind of fell off a little bit with Sims 3. It was sort of in like my mid to late 20s,
Hmm.
so wasn't really a priority in that time. But I did end up picking it back up shortly before The Sims 4 came out. I actually think I bought The Sims 3 in like 2013.
Hmm.
So I didn't play very long before The Sims 4 came out. And then obviously here we are with the Sims 4. And I did pick that one up when it came out, and I've been playing Sims 4 ever since.
I love it. You're the second person this weekend that has told me that they started with SimCity. A question out there. Do you think Origin should bring back SimCity? Like the original one that was like just ported over. Like either have it on the Switch or like on PC, like literally anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like for city simulations, it's probably the most favorite city simulation I've ever played. So I think they would probably sell quite a few
Mhm.
100,000 copies if they decided to bring it back. Especially, I think like at the price point, it would probably be. I couldn't see them selling it for more than $15. I mean, it's not uh super aesthetic compared to what we're dealing with nowadays, but
It's retro.
Oh, it's
very
100%
retro,
retro. Like,
very retro. But
com-
yeah, I mean, I would play it again probably.
okay. Well, what if Origins put on the original Sims, like the complete collection in Sims 2? Do you think they're missing out on a market? Or do you think that game is like it's come and gone? Like if we actually went back and played the original Sims, like now we wouldn't think it as good as when we did when we were yeah, when we were
I
younger.
I think there's a lot of room for them to bring it back because nostalgia games are definitely coming back. I mean, you've got people who are playing the original Mario Brothers. Like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't we want to play with The Sims 1? I mean, there's so much, and like Katie will probably agree here. There's so much that we got in the two franchises of those games
Mhm.
that like they never touched on in The Sims 3 or The Sims 4. And so a lot of us really want that gameplay back.
Yeah, I agree. I think that even not even just like nostalgia gamers like us who did play Sims 1 and Sims 2 back in the day, I also think that there might be people that either just missed out, they were into Sims back then, or maybe they weren't even alive, that might be interested in trying it out because I mean, The Sims 1, especially, I think, is so it's like pop culture, like
Mhm.
almost, and like it's just so chaotically different, I think, from the rest of the series. Sims 2 has a little bit of that sort of like weirdness, but Sims 1 is just like I think everyone should like play Sims 1 for a few hours at least once in their life because it's hilarious and it's really hard.
It is really hard. I'm convinced that EA just made like the Sims easier for every iteration as it went along. But like the first Sims, everything was on fire at all the time,
Hmm.
no matter what you did. I made toast, house on fire. I looked at the oven, house on fire. Like I feel like that's just literally how Sims is remembered. That and killing your Sims by removing the pool ladder,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I remember the genies the most, to be honest with you. That is what stuck with me because I used to save up all my simoleons to buy as many genies as possible. I don't know what I was hoping for out of it besides like a hot tub, but like it'd be like house on fire or like the burglar situation and stuff like
Oh, the
that.
burglars used to scare the crap out of me. Like the second the music started, I was
Yes.
like, oh, like seriously, that was like nightmarish for me at that point.
I was young when Sims 1 came out. Like I was still in elementary school. My parents didn't care to let me play it. But I remember like that heart-sinking feeling of when the
Mm-hmm.
burglar noise came on, I'd be like, oh no, I should go get my mom or my dad.
I also just love with the burglar, like they would stare at everything, but they take the candle. Like they had the opportunity to take the TV or the table or the fridge or anything. Nope, they swiped this little candle or just something really small and always in my game. And I
Oh,
was
well,
just
you
like,
got lucky. I
really?
always got like my fridge or something like, like they would always take something I needed. It was never just like something small. It was always like, there goes your fridge, there goes your stove.
I feel
Oh
like
my.
mine was always countertops, and I always used the same countertops, those like kind of like glossy, like wave looking ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can think of it in your head, but I have a strong image of those were always the countertops I put in the game.
I also I always use the blow up couches. That
Yeah.
was like in every single room. You had to have a blow up couch. Not because now in Sims 4, it's plants. Every room has to have at least 20 plants.
Hmm.
but I used to have the blow up couches and what was another? Oh, I always used to put like the weird like cow rug and stuff because I thought it would be cool and retro to do that.
I have a question.
Yeah, lay it on me.
I was building in The Sims last night and I put a fireplace in my Sims bedroom. In Sims 1, could you not put a rug in front of the fireplace and your Sims could like woohoo and like you could light the fireplace and they could woohoo? Was that Sims 1 or Sims 2?
I
I
think that was just,
remember this happening, but I can't remember which one I want to say it was Sims.
I
I
want to
don't
say it was
know.
Sims
I think
2.
it was Sims
Because
2.
I was thinking like it would be cool if my Sims could like I could put a rug and they could like lie down and woohoo and like cuddle. And I'm like, that was in a game. Like I have a strong memory of seeing my Sims
Mhm.
doing that.
Are you
I
It's not
doing
in
a lot
Sims
of rug
4.
cuddles in real life, Katie? What's
yeah. That's some romance right there. And they say romance is dead.
Yeah.
no, no.
No, our
Not in these households.
in front of my fire my real life fireplace. We actually do have one in this house. There is a cat tree, a cat bed, cat toys, and a cat water fountain. So
Hmm.
I've taken over. Very
Oh,
romantic.
yes. If anything, maybe in Hot Date, you could have been maybe able to do
Could
that.
have. Yeah.
Maybe. I do remember doing it. I like you, I was really young. When I started playing, I didn't know what woohoo was. I
Yeah.
just thought they just went to bed to like sleep. Couldn't understand. Okay, honest to God, I thought they were just like trying to like they were like having like a pillow fight or something like under the blankets.
That's
Like
so
that
wholesome.
that was literally because
Yeah.
I was 10 and my parents were like sex didn't exist, like not even kissing or anything. Like if I was watching like like I'm from Canada, so we had this like show called 16 and it literally took place in a mall and there's six teenagers that are also 16 and they work in the mall, and there was this girl Chloe who was always making out with her boyfriend, and my mom would stand in front of the TV just to ensure that I couldn't see these two cartoon characters making out. I'd be like, "Bad males, I know
Oh,
what
so
they're
they weren't
doing."
even real people. They were
No,
cartoons.
no, they were cartoons. Like
That's hilarious.
my mom was always team, like even still to this day, like anything like I don't know, affectionate, like just doesn't exist in my mom's mind. It's absolutely incredible. And I looked at her, I'm like, Mom, I'm here. Like I'm physically in this earth. So at least happen once to because I'm here.
Yeah.
or the best story was because I'm getting married next year.
Oh,
And
congrats.
Congrats.
thank you so much. It's
Welcome
been
to the club.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a lifetime. We've been engaged since 2019. We've actually had to move the wedding twice because of COVID.
Mm.
We were actually supposed to get married next month, but at so we are supposed to get married in 2021, but we had canceled it in 2020 just because we were not confident at the time of what 2021 was going to look like. We're glad we did. And then this past Christmas with Omicron, we then decided again to cancel because we were not confident in what 6 or 7 months could look like from that. It was looking pretty bleak. So we made the collective decision that we were going to do a small, intimate ceremony this year. But we went to a couple of weddings. We realized maybe that's actually not something that we wanted. So we just kicked the can to 2022 and just having the big ceremony all in one day. So um long time in the making, but my mom, who has her only knowledge of weddings is my big fat Greek wedding. That is the only thing when she pulls up weddings is that movie because that's one of her favorite movies. And she asked me if I was going to put a veil over my head. And I said, no, because I'm not a virgin. And her eyes, like, oh my God. I'm like, Mom, I've lived with my fiance since 2017. What do you
You
think we're
think we
doing?
aren't boinking, Mom?
Yeah, like what do you think we're doing? We're just wrestling, in the sheets,
Tickling each
We're
other under
just
the
tickling
covers.
each other. Exactly. But yes, no, Katie, I like that. No, definitely. I'm thinking maybe Sims 1 or Sims 2.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Sims 4, like what are your guys' thoughts on Sims 4 this year? Like everything that's come out so far.
Are we allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
oh fuck yeah. No, 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 I swear all the
Okay.
Oh
time.
fuck
It's
yeah.
like, oh fuck yeah.
Okay, well, it's a fucking shit show.
Yes, you came to play. I love this. Oh my God. It is
Yeah,
the absolute shit. Do you guys have high school?
I have high school, yeah.
I did not buy it yet.
I'm getting it next week. How is high school in your opinion?
So a lot of people are saying high school's glitched out. I've encountered one bug with prom, like specifically with the high school pack. I think what's causing a lot of the glitches is the patch that came before high school.
Okay.
Otherwise, the build buy is gorgeous. I don't do a whole lot of gameplay, although recently I actually have like started a family and I've been playing with them a little bit more.
Mhm.
Um, the build by amazing. I can see it easily becoming one of my favorites. It's so nice. Gameplay wise, high school, I mean, it's like any other Sims thing. Like it's kind of cool at first and it gets repetitive after a while. So you just kind of start skipping it and like sending the teenager to school alone. Prom didn't work for me. I read online that there's a glitch that if prom is scheduled the same night as like the Get Famous Starlight Awards, whatever the heck they're called, prom like won't work in some cases. And that
Hmm.
unfortunately happened to me. Um, but otherwise it's been running gameplay wise like pretty okay. I haven't had a whole lot of like the glitches other people have, so I either just got lucky or
That's that
um
that's fair. I heard this, I don't have it yet, but this is all speculation. I hear in the grapevines that teenagers have the ability to ask out elders.
I don't know. I didn't make my sim ask out an elder, so
Yes. So little
Yeah, there's
Simsy.
just like some really weird, and also there was like an incest problem. I mean, the thing of the thing uh that we're finding and is that with every new iteration of expansion pack, game pack, whatever, I mean, The Sims, you got to think about it this way. The Sims 4 was like, or is the only game I can think of that has continuously run this long with this many expansions on the same game engine. Like,
mhm.
I,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, I think at this point, unless they're willing to revamp the whole thing, um, the more they pack into the game, the more problems we're going to have. I mean, I don't have the expansion pack yet. I I mean, I'll probably buy it eventually, but right now it's just not like a priority item for me.
Mm-hmm.
What is upsetting is that when we got the patch and it gave us curved walls, which is really exciting, um, it started to bring back old glitches. I mean, if you're not placing the correct kind of windows, you're getting those weird window glitches again. Um, I'm having trouble with like the rooms, when you're trying to build something round and you want to connect it to another room, it'll give you that like, room error where you can't connect the two rooms for whatever reason. Um, it's just, I've gotten to the point now where I'm playing with more mods because it's the only way to fix a lot of the problems. And that really sucks because if there are people out there that are willing to spend their time and effort and not get compensated for fixing a game that is at this point multi-million-dollar corporation,
Mm-hmm.
uh there's a big problem, and the other thing I saw was that they have 6 game testers on their entire team. So they're shipping these games with very limited testing. And it's almost like they're just, well, the players will figure it out. They'll find the bugs for us. And that's just not fair. Like
No.
that's it's not fair.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jesse. I think it's kind of twofold. I don't know anything about coding a game, but from what I've read, I've heard that The Sims 4 was originally supposed to be an online game. They scrapped that idea last minute and then just kind of rushed and put out the game that we see, and that maybe the code like for the original game isn't like super solid. So I
Mm-hmm.
think adding all of these packs over the years just kind of expose some of the weaknesses that probably date back to, probably a decade ago when they were starting to build this game. And then secondly, yeah, the QA has gone so far down. Someone posted something on Twitter showing the QA for City Living, which filled up the whole entire screen, and the
Mhm.
QA for high school years, which was like a handful of people. I also heard, again, this is hearsay. I don't know if this is true or not, but I also heard that a lot of QA testing is done only with base game and the pack. So there's
Mm.
like this, they don't do other packs, which seems weird because I would say a majority of like people that maybe like a little more than casual probably own more than just base game and one expansion, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, we're going back to your original question. I think the content, like the objects, the cast, the build buy has been so much better in the recent, like since I would say like Discovery University Eco Living era. Like I think then it started, they really like the assets itself in the game have increased and they're really, really nice. The gameplay and the testing has decreased. So it's hit or miss as a builder. Like I'm still enjoying it, but it's because I don't really have that many glitches I have to deal with, like, people who actually play the game.
I totally agree with you. I don't do gameplay. Like I haven't done gameplay in years. I'm just built by um it's interesting though. I didn't know about like their potentially hearsay that they are just testing the new kit versus a new one. You're right. Like more people have at least a couple. I think the problem I'm having is they're rushing out content. So the rumor, the secret on the street is they need to get the team off Sims 4 so they can have the full team on Sims 5. So they're just rushing through everything just to make sure to get everything done. I honestly, they're rushing out so much stuff that I wish they would just focus more on the quality of the stuff versus the quantity. Like they are rushing out kits left, right, and center. I would rather them maybe like two or three kits a year, maybe like one stuff pack, one game pack, one like, and maybe just one expansion. But at this point, they're really going for Marvel for tit to tat to how fast they can push stuff through. And what EA is basically saying is, well, just don't buy it. If
Yeah.
you don't, if you just don't do it. Like I would love for them to come out and saying we are releasing games a little bit before they're ready. We do apologize. We are working on fixing stuff, and instead of it being like not a problem.
Yeah, I mean that really sucks that even like EA can't even get behind the integrity of their own game.
Mm-hmm.
Um I and it's just really it's heartbreaking for me because this was something that I truly enjoyed and loved doing for so many years. But, and I understand like we we had a rough 2 years as far as like the whole world shutting down and COVID and they had to, up until recently, I know they were working from home, until maybe like 5, 6 months ago. But at the same time, it's, like you said, they just keep pushing, pushing, pushing content out. I'd be okay with them pulling back if it meant the quality would be better.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the gameplay goes. I mean, yes, we are builders um by, at heart, but I still feel for all of my friends who do enjoy gameplay and I want them to enjoy the game and I want them to have, an outlet to go to and live, like this past year, they've put a lot of emphasis on making sure that people feel um seen and especially with like our LGBTQ friends and all of that, like making sure that they feel like they can be their own selves in game or live out the true self that they want to be if they can't be that person in real life. And I love that. But you put so much focus on that and then you forget about the gameplay that's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are they going to do? They can make themselves in casts, sure, but once they go to play out their lives, like they can't, and so I really do think that, like, I mean, it's like beating a dead horse, but
Hmm.
we've we've been asking as a community for these things to get fixed, and it's falling on deaf ears, and it's really discouraging for the future. And it makes me not even really excited for Sims 5 anymore.
I agree. I'm not excited for Sims 5, Jesse. I would much rather, if I'm gonna buy it, I probably would wait a year at this point because I would want expansions to come out. Um, I would want the patches to be fixed. And if you don't think Sims 5 is going to probably be close to $100 game at this point, like I would be shocked. Like, so like I live in Canada. So the base game itself, when it's not on sale, is $85. The expansions are 60. The game packs are 30. The stuff packs are 15 and the kits are 8. That's a lot of money to be
Yeah.
shelling out. Um, I think I would wait till it would go on super on sale. And I know people are super excited for it, but it's kind of like I'm going to describe EA like the DCEU. They have this concept of being able to put all the DC superheroes in the movie, but when it comes to the actual principle, it lets you down. It doesn't actually, they don't actually follow through on what they promise, but they show you that it's going to look cool. Because I will say the EA marketing team is phenomenal. They are great at
They
teasing
are.
stuff. Oh yeah, like the high school pack, I was giddy. I was in a, because I work corporate marketing. I was in a meeting. I was actually watching it because I was like, no one was pulling on me because I wear cat headphones and I look like I'm 12. So no one ever wants to hear what Jen has to say. So I'm sitting there watching this and I was like, fuck yeah, hi, cheerleaders. And they're all like, and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, cheer. We're going to cheer our leaders here. And I literally did that. And they're just like, my boss was like, oh, if you weren't as good at what you do, I don't know if you'd still work here. Um, but like looking at it, like, but they can't just do like free cheers. They have to be on the cheer ground. Like it's just ugh. Like they get this idea, they do it, but they stop at 70% and they don't follow
Yeah.
through to the 100. It's like the pronouns. So like I'm so happy they did that. I wish they would have did it sooner. I mean, obviously, but I saw a snapshot of what people are having. So let's just say Will went to work today and he collected 500 simoleons. It'd be like Will went to work. They collected that. Them will be like it's not the correct. They're just instead of
Right.
he, they, them, like they don't 100% know where it
Grammar's not, yeah, 100%
said,
right.
right? So I'm like, to me, I'm like, with that, that's extremely important to me because if I recognized with those pronouns and I saw that, to me, that would be a slap in the face because you just replaced he or she with they and them, but didn't actually follow through on what the correct grammar of the sentence should be.
Yeah. Well, the game doesn't have like AI, and that might be part of the problem, is that it's not, like you said, it's the grammar is not working because it doesn't know any better. It's
Yeah.
just working with the elements, or like, the the pieces that, of code that they put in for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the translation is not, it's not an intelligent translation for sure. Um, but going back to like the cheerleading thing, that's pretty exciting stuff to have it's exciting to have any type of event or um, you know, gameplay for teens in general. I think that it might have been better executed if like they placed, some sort of special mat that you could like place anywhere in the world that you could do the activity on. Like anything else in the game, like we have this up until recently, we have this gigantic telescope,
Mm-hmm.
like they're not opposed to making giant pieces for gameplay. They could have just simply created some sort of sports mat, and that could have facilitated those actions, and you could do them anywhere you want to do them. Um, so I agree. The way that they cut corners on certain things nowadays, it just doesn't quite make sense. It's like they're doing what's easiest for them.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't want to speak for all the Sims community, but I see a lot of people like on Sims Twitter and Instagram posting like stop putting out packs and fix the game, which would be amazing. It's not going to happen because whatever corporate higher ups control things would never let that, I'm sure
Yeah.
Sims is a relatively large cash flow for them. Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I love all the new stuff they've been giving us and like the base game updates because I bought base game in 2014 and I remember being like, what is this shit? Like, there's
Mhm.
nothing here. There's no toddlers, there's no pools, there's no ghosts. Like, it was so empty. And I think it's because it was like kind of a rushed game.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping Sims 5, I know we touched briefly on it. Like, I'm really, really hoping that they put more into the base game. If they charge me a little more for it, fine, whatever. But I'm not going to pay 60, 70 US dollars for a Sims 4-esque game. Mm-mm. No. I hope they take some of these ideas, some of these things that like are the Sims pronouns and body hair and some of the base game stuff they've given us and put it into the base game of Sims 5. I think the ideas are great. I think the stuff that they're trying to do, the once in the fears system, awesome. I had to turn it off actually gameplay. It's a good idea, but like again, like it's just a really odd kind of poor execution in game. It just doesn't work. Your Sims are like always tense. Like the ones in fears are like you need to like dial it down a little bit. It's like constantly my Sims are tense, like I'm gonna quit my job. Then my Sims are tense, like I'm so scared of the AI bot controlling me. Like it's funny, like the sayings in it are
Mhm.
hilarious, but it's always there. Like my Sims are always tense because of this. And I'm like, just go away for 5 minutes. Like I just made you conquer your
We're
fear.
already
Why are you
stressed
scared
out in real
again?
life. Why are they
I mean, I
making
get
our
it. It's
Sims
actually
stressed?
it's actually
Right?
probably the realest thing they've ever put in the game. My Sims are always stressed about their jobs and always stressed about their lives. But for like gameplay wise, like it's a little annoying. I had to turn it off. So
Yeah,
um
I wouldn't be able to do that either. Like that would, I mean, you a lot of us come to the game to
escape.
escape, and
Mhm.
like if you're just gonna give us the same, I mean, I feel like they started that in remember in Snowy Escape, one of the aspects of like what is it, like the business, like oh gosh, the work, like when you were, oh my God, why am I having such a brain fart right now? I'm trying to
It's
explain this, but
okay.
the words are not coming out. Um, so we have a Japanese like work ethic or something that goes along with that game.
Oh, the
And
salary person career?
yes, that's the
Okay.
one I'm thinking of. And so that if you play out that, your sim gets really stressed out about their job because it's part of the culture. I mean, it like the Japanese, it's funny because I'm actually interviewing for a company that's Japanese owned,
Mhm.
but here in the US, we work to live. In Japan, they live to work.
Yes.
So, um, yeah, I don't like to play my Sims games that way. I don't want to climb the corporate ladder. I want to have adventures and marry you know, my neighbor and I don't know,
Have a big
just
garden and grow cow plants and eat
right.
Yes,
people.
exactly.
Exactly.
And just literally
Whimsy.
be your escape from reality instead of being like, oh my God, I have to vacuum the floor because there's dust bunnies. Oh my God, I have so many fears. Oh my God, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of discerning that we're now having to deal with like real life stresses in game.
Right. I saw that people were disappointed that they didn't introduce periods in The Sims. Like
Yeah,
with your,
I guess that's a big miss on their end.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What
Didn't
are
we
your
have something like
thoughts?
that in Sims 3 though? Like I just feel like the teen life aspects were so much more developed in The Sims 3 than in The Sims 4.
I will say I did notice in high school years, I didn't. So I was on vacation when like a lot of the high school years, like live streams and promos and trailers were dropping. So I didn't really know a whole lot about the pack going into it, besides it was about like high school.
Mhm.
um, I one thing I did see is my teen sim, he woke up and he was like grumpy because it was like puberty. And he got like a puberty mood lit, and then like his face started breaking out, and like you can go and like you can like put cream on, and you can like I think this is probably a spa day thing, but you can buy face masks and stuff off the computer. So
Okay.
I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. And he would like got a he got like one of those phases, and it was like doesn't want to be around family members. And I'm like, okay, that is like very spot on for for a teenager going through puberty.
Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah.
I wish that they would add a lot more of that type of moodlets to the game because it just makes it so
Mm-hmm.
much more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like we were saying, how hard it was in Sims 1 and Sims 2,
Hmm.
you know, those types of like attitude problems, you know, you're trying to deal with a teenager going through puberty.
Yeah.
I could see
Yeah.
that posing some like more difficulty to the game and making it a lot more interesting.
Right. I mean, I it's kind of like we were saying earlier, like it's a life simulator, and there's some things like you want. Like, I think when it comes to the Sims themselves, they just need to be fleshed out more. Like a lot of the
Hmm.
actions, we have a lot of like life simulated actions. We can vacuum, we can do laundry, we can garden and go to work. But it just sometimes feels like the Sims themselves are maybe, yeah, maybe it's just too easy in a way. Like they're almost always happy. Although with wants and fears, they're always tense because the fears are always there. But yeah, I agree. I think just the Sims themselves lack personality, even with their different traits. It just doesn't, they just don't feel like fully fleshed out. And I really, really hope The Sims 5, if we ever get it, we'll see. I hope that they just inject a little more like personality
Hmm.
and like I don't know, like lifeness. That I don't think that's a word, but you know what I mean? Like just more full of life, like real people. They don't need to be happy all the time. I mean, I don't know if I want a Sims-esque one difficulty level, but
No. I'd
maybe
like
like somewhere between.
yeah, I'll take a middle. I'll
Yeah.
take not as easy as Sims 4, not everything on fire as Sims 1. I'll take like a Sims like a 2 and 3 could have like a baby and just do that.
I agree. I think Sims 2 gameplay might still be my favorite of all time. It's lacking a whole lot. I think going back and playing it, there might have been a little bit of like the rose-colored glasses nostalgia in my mind for that.
Oh yeah.
But Sims 2 gameplay was pretty good.
I think the reason why people love Sims 2 so much because like compared to Sims 1 to Sims 2 is a fucking completely different
It's
experience.
wild.
So different, right? So like I think that's why people like it's like, oh, it's my favorite because a lot of them for Sims 2, they were children when they played it. So it's they remember it more. Where Sims 1, like we're babies when we play that. So I definitely do hope that Sims 5, excuse me, if it ever comes out, the little bit like better like hashed out character development for
Mhm.
Sims. Anyways, why don't we switch over and talk to you guys about your amazing podcast? So why don't you guys tell me like what started this idea?
Uh, so in 2021, or really late 2020, I had this idea of starting a podcast about The Sims because there weren't really very many out there at the time. Um, there still really aren't very many of us out there,
Mhm.
but I muffin, excuse me. um, I wanted to do this because I wanted to get to know my fellow simmers a little bit more. You know, it was one thing to just um, talk online and all of that. I really just wanted to have like these one-on-one conversations and figure out what makes people tick.
Mhm.
And so, and I wanted to be a journalist when I was younger. I actually took like classes in journalism and visual communications. And so I always had this interest of being like an interviewer or something like that. Um, so I decided to start a podcast. And our first batch of interviews was back in, let's say I started recording in maybe February of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And I started releasing them, I think late March, early April. And I
Okay.
only did a few episodes. We had Captain Sumi, she was our very first interview. We interviewed Artie and we interviewed Caity. And yeah, and so that was the beginning of the podcast. It became very clear to me that it was going to be extremely difficult to do one-on-one podcast. I commend you very much for your efforts of doing this because I know how hard it can be. So during 2021, Caity and I had talked about possibly bringing her in as a co-host, and we made the final decision and started recording. When did we start recording? Like in February of this year? It was,
Yeah, early this year, I think.
yeah. And we had a really amazing season two. So
So
I
it's so much fun.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
No, like this is a lot of fun. But Jesse, you're the only person that knows what it's like to be on this side of planning everything. I would spend hours and hours doing season one, trying to figure out, did I send you the Zoom link or did you get it? Photo editing. I mean, I don't really edit this podcast, but at the beginning of like, I didn't even know what the hell I didn't even know anything. Now I know what I'm doing because I've done like, I think I've done, this would be my 60th interview by now.
Wow.
So I've done a lot of interviews, but you get more comfortable with time. Honestly, if you guys are like interested by doing more interviews, Calendly is absolutely your friend. I don't know if you use that now, but literally you select your dates of when you want to do everything, you send it to to whoever your simmers, they put in all the information, it sends it to them automatically. It literally just takes off the stress of what it's like to be booking all these interviews. Like I would have people like for like because like I like, as you as well have interviewed people all around the world. I have gotten so good at knowing the difference because I'm EST. I'm like, I know where everybody's time differences are now because I used to have to do it in my head. Where now this app just does it all for me. It's
Yeah.
$12 a month. I will happily pay that $12 a month instead of me being like, oh my God, Zoom, did I send the Zoom link? Did I not send the Zoom link? Yeah, but no, I got you.
Yeah,
I,
we just started using Candidly for season three.
yeah.
Prior to that, we were mostly doing our scheduling through um our Gmail. Like we have a form that everybody has to fill out,
Mm-hmm.
and then we stick it on our calendars. Then we were messaging people to like make sure that they remembered and that they were going to be available still. So yeah, it definitely is, it's pretty stressful trying to figure it out. I actually used Candidly on the first
Oh,
season. But one of the things that when I brought Caity in, we had agreed on splitting up responsibilities because
okay.
obviously like with, I do a lot of editing with our podcast. I
Mhm.
like we end up talking for 3 or 4 hours sometimes, and I can't, I don't, it's not that I don't want to put out a podcast that long, but like how many people are actually going to sit and listen to a 3 hour podcast? There's not a lot of people. So trying to condense all that into like a 45-minute to an hour episode, it does take a lot of time. And for, I've figured out for as long as we record, it takes me twice as long to edit. So you're looking at 6 hours of easily of editing. And then I still had the responsibility of trying to schedule everyone and make sure that this was, that everybody was on board. And so I really handed off a lot of that to Caity, and she's done an excellent job. She actually takes care of all of our interview questionnaires. She does our outlines. She keeps the communication going between her and, well, between us and the interviewees. Um, and of course, like when she needs my input, I'm always there for her and we always make decisions together.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately it's really worked out with us separating those responsibilities to be able to get all the work done. We also made a decision for this upcoming season. We are only doing bi-weekly episodes now instead of weekly,
Mm-hmm.
which takes us down to 6 episodes for a season because we do a 12-week season.
Okay.
So it is going to be a big change from what we had last year, or not last year, last season, because I think we put out 11 episodes within that 12 weeks. We had a bye week because there was a holiday here in the US and we were both going to be with family. So we took that week off, but for 11 of the other 12 weeks, we were recording and editing and scheduling, and it was a lot. It took a lot out of both of us. So right now what the season looks like is 3 interviews and 3 of, just us doing our banter chit chat that we do.
Yep.
But yeah, we're excited. We have some really solid interviewees coming up.
So excited. I can't wait.
Yeah. And
Any
so
any spoilers you want to share with anybody of who you're going to interview?
so I think you just did, or you just put out an episode a couple weeks ago with Erin.
Oh yeah, Erin with a Y. Yep.
So we do have her on.
That's exciting.
Yeah, very excited. And I have my suggestion, because we both have, we pull our suggestions together and try to decide like who we want. Um Elfish Amy.
Oh, nice.
I cannot wait for that one. That I'm a little bit of a fangirl when it comes to her because I absolutely love her YouTube videos. They are speed build ASMR. As
Okay.
I mean, they're so gorgeous. I don't think they're intended as ASMR, but she has such a beautiful speaking voice. And she puts this really light, beautiful music on her videos, and yeah, I'm so excited to talk to her. She's a fellow Canadian.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where she's from, but I think she's running on East Coast time. So
Okay, so that means she's probably in the Maritimes. So like out east. Well, that's awesome. Hey, again, I'm excited for you guys. Like, I like what we do because we are talking to Summers, we're bringing the community together, one step closer. Now, something I'm curious to see what you do, because then I'll tell you what I do. How do you prepare before your podcast? Before you sit down for an interview, what do you do?
So we kind of probably both do a little bit different things because, like Jesi said earlier, we kind of split the responsibilities. For me, what takes a lot of time is I kind of research who we're going to be interviewing. I go to their socials, I look through, see what they like to build or what they like to kind of do in The Sims, and then I will go and I will craft an outline to send just so they kind of have an idea of stuff that we want to talk about. They can kind of prepare. It kind of helps Jesi a little bit with having to have a little like less editing if this, people are kind of don't have as many and ooh and like those awkward pauses where they're like thinking of what to say. So I have kind of like a baseline outline that I kind of copy and paste, and then I edit it specifically for the simmer that we're going to be talking to. So, when I interview Erin, I'll probably want to talk about like her fantasy builds and inspiration and stuff like that, because that's something like very unique to her. And yeah, that takes some time because, I want to like, I don't want all of our podcasts to sound exactly the same and have the exact same questions. We have a few that we pretty much always ask, of course, like, introduce yourself. How'd you get into simming? What do you like to be called? Do you think of yourself as an artist? Just kind of like a baseline that is the same. And then it goes into like the personalized stuff. And yeah, that's kind of my main responsibility, and just confirming the interview, like, hey, you still good to go? Let us know if you need to cancel or if there's anything on this outline you don't want to talk about. That's fine. Like, we'll take it out. No worries. Um, and then, yeah, that's kind of my main responsibility. And then, of course, besides just, actually sitting down and setting up my gear and remembering to put on my headphones, which is hard for me sometimes. Sorry about that.
And as far as like our like just Caity and I, like our one-on-ones, a lot of times we just kind of like discuss like what's going on in the Sims community and things that we want to touch base on, whether it's rumors or pack reviews or whatever just seems to be relevant at the time.
Mhm.
Those types of recordings we try to do as close to real time as possible when that event's happening, so that way it's not old news or lost in translation or whatever by the time the episode goes out. um but yeah, I mean, a lot like Caity, like I do a little bit of research. I try not to do too much because I want it to be fluid and
Mhm.
spontaneous and just kind of like roll with the conversation versus scripted, like,
Right. And of course, the outline is just an outline. Like, we don't we don't always like we don't follow it to a T. We want to keep the conversation feeling like it's a real conversation. Like, yeah, not like, okay, and now we're gonna ask you question number two. Do you like to play The Sims? Like
Oh my God. No, I like that. My first couple episodes, like you could literally hear me with moving the paper, trying to figure out like, okay, so guys, so question three. I used to send like the most generic outlines. I actually stopped doing that because I actually would ask zero of the questions by the end of it. It's as you can tell, it's all free flowing. It's just whatever comes to mind. What I do beforehand is so usually how I stack these up is I will do 6 or 7 interviews in a weekend. So this is weekend number 1. So I'll stack up 6 interviews back to back to back to each other. And then I will slowly put them out like once a week. I commend you guys for being able to do it a little bit sooner. So like I'm assuming like if you have a podcast coming out, let's say like on a Wednesday or something on the lines of that, or a Saturday, that do you guys film then that week, or do you have them
it's
sitting in the queue?
it's we try to get as many in a queue as possible. Now life happens and that's not always it hasn't always worked out for us. I think our first probably 4 or 5 episodes of season 2 were queued up and ready to go by the time, you know, they were they were being put out.
Mm-hmm.
But then we did get into a spot where we were like, oh crap, like we've got to record this Sunday so that we can get something up on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And that does happen. I mean, it's not always going to be perfect. Because we have 2 people, we have 2 different schedules, and Caity has a daughter, so in that regard, she's got a responsibility that I don't have, and she can't always be available. But we try our best, and this season we are actually trying to get everything as close to pre-recorded before season starts as possible.
Mm-hmm.
We will at least have all of our interviews recorded and
Mm-hmm.
probably the first 1 or 2 episodes of just us.
yeah, the one-on-ones are a little bit harder to pre-record because we try to again like talk about what's irrelevant. So right now, talking about the patch disaster might not be relevant if we release it in December.
Yeah, yeah.
And another thing Jesse and I talked about is, we're only doing bi-weekly, but if something major happens, like we might have a pop-up stream. Like if Sims 5 is announced, and it's not on the schedule, we'd probably be like, hey, we should talk about this because
Yeah.
this is major. Something super wild happens.
And those episodes don't get as much editing just
Mm-mm.
because they're usually a little bit shorter,
Mm-hmm.
and we want our real-time reactions for those. So usually when something happens like major, like Caity, I'm trying to think back, like we did that Sims News episode, and I feel like that one was really raw as far as the editing goes. But it was because it needed to go up like ASAP. So we didn't want to spend a whole lot of time editing. So we really just like got in there and kept it really like condensed to what we wanted to talk about, and we didn't get sidetracked too much. The other thing you guys don't hear is I try to edit some of it in, but sometimes Caity and I can get totally off topic and derailed because we're such good friends and we've got other stuff that we want to talk about. There is moments where we could be talking Sims and then all of a sudden one of us is like, "Oh my God, blah 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 blah," and it just like goes and takes it somewhere completely different. Now, sometimes it works out really well in our favor, and those types of conversations can get included into the podcast. But then there's other situations where it's like, we don't really need our listeners to hear about that. We did we did go on a tangent about poop buckets.
Oh my God. Obviously.
Which I now own a poop bucket.
Yeah, the squatty potties or whatever,
No,
right?
No.
Remember we were talking about the poop bucket, the like camping with the toilet lid.
Yes, we also talked about squatty potties. Apparently poop is like a theme in our lives.
I own a poop bucket now.
Nice.
Everybody poops, and I got you. We went camping, like we go camping once a year. I would have given my left tit if I had a poop bucket on site, because I just want to be like, I don't want to walk in the middle of the night. I totally would. No.
Taking a dump in the middle of the night in the woods.
My husband and I have decided we're gonna start doing some overlanding. So we took a weekend a couple weeks ago just to kind of like feel it out and see if it was something that we really wanted to do. And so we had to grab like some supplies because we have a tent and we have a cooler and we have camping chairs, but like we don't have like when we go camping, we usually go camping with a group and everybody shares supplies, but it was just the two of us, so that we needed stuff, right? The only thing that was like number one on my list was a poop bucket. I'm like, I am not gonna go dig a hole every time I need to number two. And I will say the second night we were there, it was a godsend because I would not have made it. The hole would have never been dug in time.
An emergency.
So it was a okay. Do either of you like watch Bert Kreischer or listen to like Bert Kreischer comedy?
No.
Okay. I'm about to give you a Bert Kreischer.
Lay it on me.
So there's a joke that he does about his dad, I think it's his dad or his father-in-law. They're at a Banana Republic. It's during Christmas time. The line is really, really long. And the grandfather is supposed to be watching the kids while him and his wife are in this line to check out. Okay. So they're in line, and all of a sudden his dad walks up and goes, "Dude, we got a problem." And he's like, "Where are the kids?" And he's like, "Fuck your kids. I gotta take a shit." So he poops his pants.
Oh no.
Because he doesn't have enough time to react to the fact that he's got to take a shit. That was what I experienced on night 2 of our camping trip. I woke up. I looked at my husband and I said, "We got to go, buddy, right now, out to the truck. Let's go get that poop bucket because it's happening right now."
You're a prairie dog in the whole way there.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
So I love it now. It's like I'll never camp without it.
I'm not a camper, but I would suppose if I were, I'd want a poop bucket too.
Yeah.
Don't knock the poop bucket till you try it. So at my work, I'm like, I like to talk about poop, okay? Because everybody poops. We got to normalize the conversation because, sometimes that's how you learn more about. You could be like, I had this weird poop. This looks weird. You tell somebody, hey, that's actually not normal. You should go to the doctor. So I'm a big like open the door to as many conversations as possible. And at work, we were talking, and I was like, yeah, just sometimes maybe like you gotta like, I'm gonna say it's play because there's a difference between poop and shit. Let's just clear the room right now. There's two different. I was like, sometimes when you gotta take a shit, you need a shower after. You would think what I had just said was like the most damning thing because everybody turned their head to look at me and said, "Excuse me, you have to shower after?" I was like, "Well, not every time." But if I just had like Taco Bell, McDonald's, and Pizza Hut in the same 3 days, yeah, yeah, I might need a shower after that one. So they're like, so now the whole joke is like, oh my God, like they're like, you gonna need a shower after this one. And I'm like, no. So like our office is moving to a new location in October and it has a shower in the bathroom. And they've
Perfect, just for you.
they've made a sign saying Jen's shower right on there for me. And I'm like, again, you guys must have the best colon because how do you not have ever experienced that in your
You've never
life?
had
You've
diarrhea?
never
Like,
had
come on.
diarrhea that you just wanted to like, you know,
Yeah, no,
go.
I'm right there with you. I mean, it like sometimes it's just that's how it goes, and you gotta you, you know, sometimes
Um,
the wet and the
Wet
wet
and
wipes
wild.
just don't.
Like especially when
I'm right there with you though.
thank you. The joke was because at the beginning of COVID, like toilet paper was scarce. Well, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, who needs toilet paper when the shower's right there? Just you're good. Just hop in the shower every
Well,
time.
and like I think a lot of people ended up getting bidets because they were so worried about not having toilet paper. And I remember having a conversation with one of my friends because I've never used a bidet. But she has one and she absolutely loves it. And I was like, what do you do about your butt when it's wet? And she's like, oh, I just have like a towel. I'm like, do you use the same towel every time? And she's like, it's clean.
I mean, I guess it's
And
like
I'm
wiping your
like,
butt off after a shower, right?
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I guess. I guess that's because my husband had the same reaction. He's like, yeah, of course you would just use a hand towel. And I'm like, I never considered like after you squirt it off, what do you do?
Drip dry, or yeah, I guess use a
Right.
towel.
Yeah, definitely drip dry or yeah, use a towel.
She's had some interesting toilet situations and she had to like poop in a hole when she was in Japan.
Oh yeah, like they're literally. I was in China, and sometimes the toilets are just a hole in the ground.
Mhm.
It's horrible. It's the worst. I mean, you got to squat down, so you get like good, good gravity to help you push the poop out, but it's gross and it smells. And like one of them like didn't even have a door. It was literally just like a hole in the ground with this like there was no like front door. It just kind of had like a back like half wall thing, so you could like see her head. It was not my most favorite pooping experience, but
That's what
I
the privies, they have privies like that on the Appalachian Trail where it's like a box, but the top half of you is visible.
mhm.
So like you just go in and it's like a porta potty out in the woods, but like everyone can see the top half. And
What if you had one of these wet and wild shits and you're like making faces? That would be so embarrassing.
oh my God. And if you do, let that be your autobiography cover of just literally you doing that. Anyways, I could talk about poop all day long, but I feel like podcast.
Yes.
So I want you guys to give me your elevator pitch for your podcast. You got 30 seconds. I want you to sell it to me.
um I mean it's two girls talking about The Sims and yeah, we have fun. We do interviews and it's a good time.
And sometimes we talk about poop buckets.
Yeah.
You sold me on the poop buckets. You had me there. Anyways, ladies, I want to say it's been a pleasure and a half getting to know you. You guys are back on the second or the third?
The third.
The third. Please go check out their podcast. Comes back on the third. Jesi, Caity, why don't you tell us if you want to share your sim socials and anything you want to share for the podcast?
Sure. We are seeing we are She and Sim podcast on Instagram and Twitter. You can get us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just look up She and Sim Pod or She and Sim Podcast. And yeah, we have a Gmail if you want to get in touch with us. It's sheandsimpod@gmail.com. You can email us questions or ideas for future podcasts.
Perfect. Well, it was so exciting to get to know you ladies this morning. Like I said, please go check out the podcast. The links are going to be below. This will be coming out closer to the end of September. So their first season episode will already be out and potentially the second. So please go listen to them. I'm very excited to hear Aaron with a Y, because I listened to your cookie, and then I did my cookie. And I tried to ensure that like it wasn't like a carbon copy of each other. I didn't know there were dragons in The Sims 1. Cookie Lee has been educating me. I don't remember dragons. Do you guys remember dragons?
I don't remember dragons.
I don't remember dragons either. Thank you. Okay.
Maybe I just never accounted a dragon. Maybe I didn't know how to do it because I was so young when I played Sims 1. There's probably so much I missed out on.
I wonder if Elena was just having a fever dream.
No, it was making magic that you got the egg. And then
yes.
And then I don't think I ever had one.
I never had one.
I spent most of my time in Sims 1 going snowboarding, walking down the runway at the stores, or going into making magic, but I would just ride the rides.
Yes. Yeah, I do. Now that you say the eggs, I remember the eggs, but I don't know if I've ever hatched a dragon.
I never hatched the dragon. Yeah, so she got her egg, hatched the dragon. Dragon burnt the house to the ground.
Oh man. Wait, someone just said Sims 3 dragons? No.
Yeah.
There were dragons in Sims 3?
Yeah.
I don't remember that either.
I can't tell you more.
Well, this is just a testament to all of us playing the game differently. And some of us have these wild experiences that some of us have no recollection of.
Right. So anyways, ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure. Please go check out their podcast. Links are going to be below. You guys are welcome back anytime. I am very excited to hear your third season.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, no, of course. Well, have a great rest of your day, ladies, okay?
Yep, you too.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.